Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with the growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcasting, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day, good people. Welcome to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey here at Podcastic. And every Friday at 12 noon, you'll find us live on Facebook and YouTube. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, personal change coach. And joining me is my sister in the moment, my aunt Seba, motivational healer. Every episode, we explore and we realign women's wellness, spiritual insights, healthy relationships, and real-life lesson journeys. Every conversation is designed to help you understand your why, heal emotional patterns, and grow in spiritual maturity so that you can move differently in your next chapter life and your relationships. If you're seeking clarity, healing, or empowerment, this podcast is for you. We challenge you to take what resonates, reflect deeply, and align it along with movement and action toward your next steps. To get us started, we always tap into our inner guidance, and we use either our My Memo cards or my Me, Myself, and I cards to awaken our inner voice. Each of us will select a card that shares, and we will share what comes up for us. So listen to the question yourself and reflect. But also, before we get started, we always encourage you to use your tools. So if you don't have water, if you don't have your journal or your ink pen, we need for you to grab those things so that you can take in the information today. So you'll always have something that you can take with you. And so as we start this process, we are going to select, I think I asked for the Me, Myself, and I cards today, didn't I?
Introduce Claudette.
Oh, I'm going to introduce her too. I'm going to introduce her.
Mind my business.
Yeah, no. We're good. So I'm passing out cards in the studio, and so I'm gonna ask Miles to take it. Miles is our producer and engineer today. Thank you very much for being here with us. I'm pulling my card, and Claudette, who is our special guest today, I am pulling a card for her as well. And I will. I'm gonna start off with my card. Claudette, since you're our guest, you'll go after my aunt, if that's okay. And so we're going to do a better introduction of our sister in the studio, but this is just kind of how we get set and settled so that we can tap into our inner guidance. And so my card says, what are your deal breakers in relationships and why? What are your deal breakers in relationships and why? Deal breakers in relationships. And so I'm going to assume that these are close personal relationships. One of my deal breakers in my close personal relationships is communication. I think it's important that people are able to communicate And if there are barriers to that communication, I really think that's something that we need to build on if we're going to have, or as we have a relationship. So it opens up new conversations. It opens up the opportunity to really get to know somebody, and not just on the surface, but in meaningful ways. And so that really is probably my biggest deal breaker, is our ability to communicate and to be able to share and to see life and admire and connect in our purpose work. So that's my how, and that's my why. Miles, if you don't mind going next.
Oh, Lord. Wow. It said, what is your definition of being judgmental? Do you have judgments about anyone or anything, including yourself? Yes. I'm too nice. I'm too open. I'm too available. Make myself available sometimes make me a target. So yeah, it is like a two-part. Say why not? I'm definitely judgmental more on myself than anybody. I don't judge other people. I judge myself too much, what makes me have a cloudy vision. As of in the past 3 years. Before these past 3 years, I never been as judgmental on myself as I've been. So I hope I answered that right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. My aunt, you go next so I can introduce Claudette.
Okay, what instances or areas in your life do you feel that you've been a failure? If so, why? I don't like these cards.
You made them.
That don't make me like them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I've been thinking about this. Failure. There have been some areas in my life where I'm disappointed in myself for not completing too many things that are incomplete. There was a course that I was going to take. I started taking it, actually. It was an online course that I started taking probably in 2005. I'm still not finished with it. Because it's online, I can still do it, because I was thinking about it the other day. And I always talk about closing holes. We have all of these holes open, all these circles open, and we don't ever close them. And when you have an open circle, whether you realize it or not, spiritually it's a little ping on you. And you got all these little pings for things that you might not know why you're feeling the way you're feeling about certain things. And I think it's because we have too many things that are not completed. There's no closure. The hole has not been closed. And so I think that probably is my biggest challenge right now, is completing some things that I had committed to myself to complete. I consider that to be failure.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. We have a amazing woman joining us today. Her name is Claudette C'Faison. She is the CEO and co-founder of Unlocking Futures, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that and her journey. But I am going to start with presenting her question for reflection and for sharing. So your question is, how should a person that loves you treat you, and why? How should a person that loves you treat you, and why?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. They should treat me the same way they would treat themselves if they were in love with themselves. Because you can only give people what you have. And if you don't have love for yourself, you can't have love for me. So I would want people to treat me like they love themselves, because that's what gets extended. However you are with yourself is what gets extended onto others.
Absolutely. Blessings. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. As we talk about this and tap into our inner guidance, I want to acknowledge that we have some listeners. We have Dave Patterson that's out there watching, and he also commented that without effective communication, there's nothing to a relationship. So thanks, Dave, for listening out there. Thank you for your comments. And with that in mind, we want to invite anyone that is listening to call in and make comments. So you can call us at 810-560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658. And as we are in the studio today, and we have our sister joining us remotely out of, is it New York today or New Jersey today? Claudette?
New Jersey today.
Okay.
New Jersey.
Thank you, out of New Jersey. And we're going to get to know her a little bit better as we have this conversation. Our topic for this episode is Season of Women in Front. Season of Women in Front. And so as our woman in front that we're highlighting today, our sister is going to share a little bit about her journey. We're going to frame this topic from a reflection. So as some of you know, the topics for the show, they are downloads or insights that I'm given for this particular show, for this particular day. It's not random. It is divinely placed so that it has the maximum effect of people who are watching it either today or the days to come. And so we move forward knowing that our voices ring out across diaspora, across our communities, and across this spiritual plane that we are invited to participate in. And so the topic came out of a reflection around the vibrational pool that's been leading two important directions. First is our spiritual elevation, and the second is remembering our sacred feminine. And this vibration is pulling our sisters to the forefront to guide and to direct, not to dominate. We bring the balance of our masculine and feminine without having to be masculine. It is in our sacred feminine that this vibrational pool has great value. It is where and why we see more and more women in the front of movements, business, and change. And so today our guest is going to weigh in on this topic as well and share lessons from her journey. Our guest today is Claudette C'Faison of Unlocking Futures. And initially, my aunt recommended her for our podcast, and she actually kind of made the initial introduction. So if you don't mind, my aunt, can you tell us a little bit about how you and Claudette connected?
It was a women's event. Actually, I don't know if she feels comfortable with it. She can explain it better than I can.
Okay.
It was a women's event, and she was one of the presenters. And we just kind of had an energetic connection. Mm-hmm. And she had a feeling that, I'm trying to remember exactly what she said. She just had a feeling that she knew that we needed to connect about something. Mm. And I think that's initially how it started.
Okay.
But I don't know what it was that she felt, because like I said, we were at an event. I was vending. She was hosting. She was one of the hosts. So.
And was it here in locally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Claudette, pulling on your memory from, I guess that was, around November last year?
Mm-hmm. It was cool. It was cold outside. Yeah.
Because I think I have it in my phone as either November or December.
Yeah, it was definitely cold outside.
So Claudette, do you recall being the time that you met my aunt or you were here? Is that part of your memory bank?
Yes, I do remember. And
okay.
It was Deirdre Renee Brown produced her first women's gathering called Sistership. Mm. And I was one of the, not just one of the presenters, she had 7 women, I think 7 elders working with her. She's in the 50s and everyone else was either at the end of the 6th decade or into the 7th decade to guide her. But that's where Spirit placed me.
Absolutely.
To get to you, to get to the two of you.
Blessings.
And so I remember in a conversation I had, I said to you, Um, Probably afterwards in a phone conversation when I said to you, "Oh, I'm finding my family. I'm finding my family." And so I'm the when I was younger, I was the youngest. People were like 20 years older than I was in my on my journey. And now I'm the elder of many people. And the people who were 20 years older than I am, they're no longer around. So so spirit knows that I need my siblings and my
Yes.
cousins and my aunties. So that's what brought us together for today.
Blessings.
We just got started. It's um I don't remember. You're old enough to remember. It's not over between you and me. Yeah, we just got started. It's not over.
Blessings, and I am definitely looking forward to, taking this journey. And so when we think about, well, when I thought about women in front, I thought this was very much aligned with you being a part of this conversation today, and kind of how you see it, and a little bit about your journey. And so I just want to give an overview, and then we'll jump into the topic and hear from you, sister, and ask some questions of you about your journey. And so, this season of Women in Front, when you think about the current spiritual, social, and leadership trends, especially the ones that kind of started in 2024, this season is drawing women to, drawing women to the front of spiritual and community change. There have been more women speaking up, organizing, taking leadership roles, becoming decision makers, gathering in circles, tribes, and support groups. I believe this to be a strength that anchors us and galvanizes our energy that flows through the sacred feminine. And so, as we simmer on this topic, and those are of you that are listening out there, those of us that are here in the studio that can have our voices shared, you have an opportunity to share as well. So you can always give us a call at 810-560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658 if you want to weigh in, or you can also make comments in the chat as we're going through this topic. So, our sister Claudette C'Faison, tell us about your journey of becoming an advocate and an activist.
Hmm. Those are two words that I never, adjectives that I never uh, put together with me. Those are my daughter is one of those things, and she's bad. She's phenomenal. I want to be like her when I grow up. But I just want to say, when you talk about me as Unlocking Futures, that's my not-for-profit, and that was a different conversation. But who the entity that's sitting here today is, I'm also the founder of my for-profit organization called Taking Women Higher,
Taking
and I've
women
been doing
higher.
that since I was mandated. And I'd like to tell you how I got this assignment. So you could
Yes.
see I got Maya right behind me, and I got Anubis over here. I go to India. I mean, India. I just came back from India last week, but I go to Egypt once a year for the last since 2003. I go to Egypt, and perhaps in 2015, and that was when we were in the Temple of Isis. A different name, but the Temple of Isis. When we're in that temple, it's on water, which is the emotional body. And we go there in the dark, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and we enter the temple and we meditate and we sing and we do, and it's co ed, and we do whatever we need to do while we're there. But we always receive something through her curtain. And sometimes people get ankhs or books, or in this particular time, I believe it was 2016, she said to me, teach yon. And I didn't know what that was. So the only word that I could imagine started with a Y-O was yoga. So I spent 2017 figuring out why, and asking, doing research. I do go to India. Why would anybody ask me to teach yoga? And all my yoga friends would say, well, you already teach yoga. Yoga is atonement, working people together to tie the knot, to bring the high and the low together. And that's, they didn't have me go out and, so I want to take a course to teach yoga. So then I said, oh, I made up this story. Oh, I know why she wants me to teach yoga, because I'm chubby. And if I do yoga, I'll be thin. But that still didn't have me teach, go out and teach any yoga. But one day I was sitting in another all female class that I was in for a year, and I heard the word yoni. And when I heard that word, everything just went ding, 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 ding. Like, oh, and then I understood the power of Isis in the womb and the temple and changing our language from woman to woman. And I understood. And in my not-for-profit, I work with people in the margins. Uh, but she didn't want me to bring this work to people in the margin. She said I needed to bring this work to women who are at least 42 years old. They needed to have gone through life to be able to be ready for this stage that we are in, the age of Aquarius, and to teach them the wisdom and the power to remove us, you say, women in front. Um, this is the time we're in, the reawakening of the divine feminine.
Yes.
Not to, and I don't do any male bashing, no male bashing. And I tell the women that I work with, none of them, although we are all, um, um, we are all affected by this thing called the patriarch. None of the men we know are part of the patriarch. None of them. They've been conditioned to be the way they are, just as the same that we've been conditioned to be the way we are. So there's no need to say men are this, men are that. We're not talking about men. We're talking about the institution that started at least 5,000 years ago, that these, I can't even believe they are human beings. I can't believe they're human beings, but the way of the patriarch, and and women in the front today are the ones that are remembering.
Yes. Oh, such alignment. Such such alignment. What a blessing to have that level of awakening, that you shared that sacred space and tapped in the way that you did. It's so many women that have the experience that may not even acknowledge what it is because they just don't know yet. And as you talk about the remembering and the awakening happening together, and it's happening. It is happening. And I love the fact that you mentioned that women who have had some life experience, so around 40, in their 40s, that they have some life experiences that can help them tie into the deeper understanding, and deeper meaning from a place that that if you have not walked through some things yet, I have this conversation with my niece. I'm like, your assets are different from mine. When you are 30 something, your assets are a lot different from mine, and I'm stepping over on 62. So, visually your assets are different. And so you can still wear the low cut tops. You can go strapless if you want, you still perky in ways that are not so perky for me anymore. So your set of assets are a little bit different. But when you come into the understanding, when she's looking for deeper knowledge, or she's looking for a deeper path or a deeper meaning, she'll come to me. She's not going to her peers for that. And it's because that is part of who I am in this journey. And I had been a part of, so in, I want to say it was 2020, was it 2022 maybe, that I had an elevation ceremony. Much like you have shared with you about your journey, I had to go through this elevation ceremony, and there were women who were women on this journey for me, who was selected to be a part of this elevation ceremony. Some were seasoned women on this journey. Some were my age, and some were slightly younger. But the goal was to move us all forward. And one of the other sisters did have an elevation ceremony, I think that following year. She had one that following year. And so the importance of acknowledging that crossing over when you are becoming an elder, when you are being moved into a place of where your wisdom is multiplied by your actions, by the people who need to be in that presence. I think that's one of the amazing things that your energy shares and your experience shares. And so I'm so grateful that you shared that as a benchmark, as a distinction that we are striving to as we're moving in the forefront. We have to bring the knowledge, we have to bring the wisdom with us as we're getting there. And as we do that, it is a deeper expansiveness of who you are and who you become. So I thank you for sharing that. Can you remember, and this is for some of our younger sisters on this journey, can you remember in your backstory if you felt different? And like where you were in your life, in your journey, where you kind of accepted, okay, I'm different.
Yeah. I've been, first I want to complete that other conversation you had. Mm. Every decade has a different set of questions that people explore, whether they're conscious of it or not. And in the fourth decade, the question begins to be, do I like what I've done with my life? If the answer is yes, you go, okay, I'll continue. But that would only allow you to continue until about age 56, 57. When you get there, it's like, I don't know. In the 40s, you begin to think about being an empty nester if you had children. So the kinds of questions that people explore in different decades are different. In the fifth decade is almost, you remember the red hats and the purple hats? They're like, we can do anything that we want to do. Mm-hmm. That's when the journey, by that time you're in the fifth decade, represents the throat chakra, the fifth chakra. And you begin to find your voice and really own your voice. But as far as being different, I think, first of all, my mother's name was Claudia. And I'm number 5. I'm number 5. And my name is Claudette. There's no Claude, there's no Claudine, there's nothing, there's no Clyde. And when you looked at my mother, you know, even after she passed away, someone could look in my face, and I was 11 years old, and they would say, "Is Claudia your mother?" I'm Caribbean, so sometimes I have to use my accent. So that she saved that name for me, which means she knows that she saved that name for me, allow me to know that there was something unique about me. And I knew I was different by the time I was in middle school. I was the woman the young girl that always looked at the airplanes and said, wherever they're going, I want to go. And you know, I've been around the world at least 14 times so far in my lifetime. I'm the one that would say, let's come on, let's walk. Let's go to this block. And then just do 10 more blocks. You know, I always wanted to see what was different. But I do remember December 4th, 1974, when I was a junior in college, a sophomore or junior in college. And I had this dream. And the dream was the world was coming to an end. And this man was saying, if the world's coming to an end, the world is coming to an end. And if you want to live, you got to get into this tree. Now, you and I now know it's the tree of life, but I didn't know it was like some tree. And it was to the left. And I started running to the right. And he said, where are you going? I said, I got to go get my friends to get them to come in the tree. So whenever the world settled, the the man saw me again, and now I was crying. And he was like, why are you crying? I said, because my friends aren't here. And he said to me, if they were supposed to be here on this journey with you, they would be here. And then I knew in an instant that I didn't belong to the world. I was in the world, but I wasn't of the world. And so, knowing that for a very long time, I've always been, and I don't call it different. I call it unique, and I call it being awake. I want to say that for me, there's four kinds of knowing. I think there's the things that you know, and those are facts. You know your name, you know the colors, you know numbers. Those are things you know. You know how to cook a dish. And then there's things, and that's really a small amount. That's the smallest amount of knowing, of all knowing. Of all knowing, the smallest amount are the things you know, like you got this. And then the second largest, the second, the step up to that are the things I know I don't know. But in order for me to research what I don't know, I have to know a little tiny bit about that. And then I can go back in my day, I can go to the library, the encyclopedia. Today I can go to AI. But you can't, you have to know something exists to know you don't know about it. So you could do some research. And you could see there's way more that you know exists that you don't know, that you really don't know. So that's, I know, I don't know. And then third phrase, which became popular in the paradigm shift 20 years ago, is I don't know, I don't know. And you can't research that. You can't engage in that because it doesn't exist for you. But I like operating in the fourth quadrant. And I call that quadrant, I didn't know I knew. And before we went to sleep, we knew. And as we awaken, we are remembering, not just remembering in a mental state, but remembering all the parts of this temple that we're in, that this is just not a body.
Ashe.
It's a sacred instrument. It's a sacred temple. It's the AI of AIs. So I used to be afraid to speak up because I've been told, like, I'm gonna tell. You know, in college, they didn't want me to be around them when they would try to get their heads pulled together, because I would talk about things and they were like, yo, sis, you blowing my high. So they could. So I always knew what I was looking at was different. And my job, my assignment today is to take women higher, is to get them anchored back into the womb, create the sacred divinity, and get them to remember who they are and what they are.
Wow. Blessings. Absolutely. That has been our conversation moving into from 2025 into 2026. That is the conversation about remembering. Thank you. And thank you for sharing the knowing. I hope our listeners are out there and they are jotting these things down in their journals and notebooks, because this is really resonating for me. I hope it's resonating for you all out there. If it isn't now, it will. And so, Ma, do you have anything you want to share? Because she has dropped some jewels here for us.
She said so much that I was just reflecting on. Like she said, the 4 levels of knowing, and then just stepping into this walk, what that looks like. You don't even know you don't know it stepped into it initially when it first happens to you. Like when she said when she went to the temples, and the message that she got wasn't the actual message, but that part of her journey was something that she had to go down and experience anyway. So I think all of us have experienced that as well. I think that's part of the walk.
I do too.
When you reflect back, well, we know that nothing happens for no reason. Everything happens for a reason, and it's up to us to get the message and the lesson out of it. So, listening to her and her journey is like the exact same thing that I think I can pretty much say we all went through. It just looked different for us. But apparently that is the process. And it's good to hear what other people went through and how they went through their process, because you can relate to that, and the times that maybe you were questioning you and your walk and your journey, and then you hear other people. It's like, well, you know what? I guess I am on point. It didn't feel like it at the time, and I think I'm going all the way to the left or all the way to the right. But I am exactly where I need to be. So I think we all can relate to that. So, thank you for sharing.
And her dream, the end of the world dream, I know you've had it.
Yeah.
And all of the goddesses in our circle, our goddess circle, have had that dream. We are kind of in different parts of that dream, but all of us have had that dream, which is another confirmation of our connection. That just resonated with me as well for that reason. And the sacred feminine and the connection with taking women higher, our sisters on this journey. It's just amazing, and the timing of it all is so on point. And so for you to be a beacon of light for people to see and to be drawn in and to find that next step in that next direction, it's such a great honor. And I thank you for taking that call, for taking it to the next level, and for all that you're doing to help not just the women but the community at large. This community of the awakened and awakening, and going back for our young people. That Sankofa, go back and get them. Go back. And so part of that process of both your for-profit and your nonprofit, which I love the balance of both, that you're doing that in rhythm with the season that we're in. And okay, so I do have well, you kind of answered that part. So I do have a third question. What have you seen and experienced in the trend towards more women moving to the forefront or moving to the front, and in what ways? What are you seeing? And that could be like in your circle, it could be in your community, and I know you have a global view too. So what are you seeing kind of on those levels as you scale that way of thinking up?
Well, here's my answer. To answer that question, I would have to get linear. But I know we live in a circular universe. And so where's the front? So whatever position we're in is the front when you do in a circle, which is the way of the womb. If you can just drop down and go to your yoni, it's circular. And that's where all creation is. And the concept of front or back is a concept that will keep us confined. to think that someone is the leader and someone is the follower. But if you just stand in the circumference of the circle, leadership is not a position, it's a way of being. And what I'm finding is the the more you are awake to your assignment, not to we are all on assignment. Those of us, everyone that's listening, we are all on assignment. And some assignments are like, okay, you're in assignment and you just stay in the kitchen. You're in assignment, you in the living room. Kitchen, that's where everything is wild and crazy. Some people just an assignment to make sure the living room is clean. Some people are on assignment, but it takes, I don't want to say it takes a whole community because that's what's coming through for me to say, but it takes all positions to be in the front. And the front is wherever you are, if you have a way of being, knowing that what you're here for is for ascension and enlightenment. I'm going to be I will be in Detroit in April. I do my courses in April. I actually did my very first course in 2018, was launched in Detroit. So
wow.
Yeah, that's where my first course was. And I come there about 4 times a year. And so in April, I will be doing a course. It's called A Touch, ATOUCH is an acronym. And what it stands for is a turned on you. When you're turned on, it creates heaven. And until we're turned on, we are bitter. We are working from our mental concepts. We'll continue to work from our past breakdowns. And what I can tell you, why to turn on, and it's not sex. It's not sex. It's a kind of energy that when you're in that particular space, that energy, the lights come on. And when the lights come on, what you thought was dark or depressing, you go, oh, that's what that was. Oh, that's that. Oh, okay, that's a spot. That's not my whole world. And so, in A Touch, we will get to see that this state of turned onness that is the energy of the divine feminine. She is not bitter. She's not depressed. Her hips swings. Her body moves in that circular spine because what she knows is the Kundalini energy. And if you know anything about the Kundalini, that's the snake. And the snake, some people want to be spiritual. They want to get into the third eye. They want to get into these places and speak from the fifth chakra. However, if the snake doesn't uncoil from the yoni to the sacrum to the heart, the solar plex to the heart, if you don't uncoil, you're not in the front, as you would say. Am I communicating or?
You for those who are awake and spiritually mature, you are speaking our language. You are speaking our language. Yes, absolutely. And that is that's such great insight. I am going to invite our listeners, if you want to call in and you have questions, give us a call at 810-560-0658. That's 810-560-0658. Wow. This sister, for sure. Thank you. And you said, so I want you to drop some information. Is that a course? Is it open? Is it by selection? What is the process
It's open.
for?
But if you have my email address, I think taking women higher now at Gmail. You could put that there, and if anyone
Okay.
wants to reach out to me,
Higher at
I,
Gmail.
I
Okay.
respond,
Okay.
and I can send you a flyer one day next
That
week.
okay. That would be awesome. Because I definitely is it already set where you're going to have the course? Is it one day? Is it over days?
It's a 3-day gathering,
Okay.
Friday evening to Sunday afternoon.
Okay, and that's
And
coming
the
up in
date
April.
that we're looking at right now will be April 17th to the 19th.
Okay. Ma, do you have anything you want to share before we move on to our next part?
I just want to put a little different spin on it. You talked about the trend toward women moving to the front, and in what ways. One of the first things I thought about was there are a lot of women that are at what I call getting the call. Which means that they are having a spiritual sensation. They're getting messages spiritually. They have this feeling maybe they can't define, and that's what I call the call. And I've heard a number of women who know that they're supposed to do something. Sometimes they might not know what it is. Sometimes they do know what it is. They're afraid to step into it. They don't exactly know how to step into it. You're seeing a rise in women's spiritual circles. So that's what I perceive as women stepping forward. They know that there's something that they're supposed to do, and they're being put in positions in their life to have to change to bring that part of them, bring their calling forward, whatever that's going to look like. So they might quit their jobs or end relationships, start new businesses. So their life is going to look different from it ever has been before, because that's their way of answering that call, their way of stepping forward into their path. And not sometimes don't even know what you're doing. You just, you either Spirit's leading you or you're going by what you feel. But there is a large amount, just from the people that I know and the people that they know, and conversations that I've had with people about the amount of women that are feeling that pull. And so that's what I call stepping forward or stepping to the front.
And so with a little research, some of the I pulled it was lots of them that were trends that were showing, but some of the 5 that most resonated with me were the shift from striving to embracing leadership, which you mentioned, that women moving away from traditional high pressure male modeled leadership styles toward a more sustainable, rooted approach. This new era emphasizes leading from a place of spiritual health, emotional intelligence, and deeper dependence on God rather than just performance. And then the second one was the rise of women of wealth and influence. There's a pronounced shift where women are being raised up in the marketplace or in their ministries, leveraging their resources and influence to advance themselves and communities, mirroring historical figures who funded early ministry and movement efforts. The third one was a deepening need for authentic sisterhood. Women are moving away from surface level interactions toward intentional, God-centered communities that provide support, prayer, and genuine connection. This shift highlights a desire for safe spaces where women can grow spiritually and support each other. Ma, do you mind taking the last 2?
A redefinition of community-focused ministry or purpose work. Leadership trends show a move towards prioritizing the local community over regular institution building. Women are leading this shift by focusing on serving specific awareness groups, neighborhoods, and families, addressing social needs, and according to researchers, fostering stronger, more intentional outreach. And the last one is a wave of spiritual empowerment and feminine fire. This season is characterized by a reemergence or feminine reset, where women are reclaiming their authority and confidence, releasing old fear-based or survival-based patterns to embrace their purpose.
Yes. And so I think all of these, all of the things and all the ways that we're seeing, and I love that you highlighted the way of being over the label, right? It's a new way of being, and I think that's part of what you were sharing, is that we are walking different, we are talking different, we look different, all of these different dynamics in motion, moving us forever forward. And where you may have been silent before, and this is one of the areas when I talked about advocacy and activism when I was introducing you and bringing that question to the forefront. It is another vehicle for how women are engaging in the process. So they're coming off the sidelines and expecting somebody else to fix whatever it is that has been emerging in them. And so what movement comes to mind is I'm a part of the Mothering Justice movement. Are you familiar with Mothering Justice, Claudette? You familiar with that movement? So Mothering Justice has 3 primary areas. The first one is Black maternal health. The second one is paid leave, and what's the third one? Oh, the third one is basic needs. And so this organization of sisters across the country, I think it's in 15 states. It's actually a movement. It's in 15 states. They have been very connected to policy, legislation, and actual work, and helping women's voices be elevated. So they're called the Momavists. Instead of activists, they're called the Momavists because the issues of the mother is kind of at the center of the work. And these particular issues are the ones that were highlighted as their core of where this energy is going. And so what I have seen happen, and so I served as a mentor for women in 7 states last year to help them to define and determine what role they wanted to play. So they, on one part of it, they were going through a 12-week training course on how to be an advocate, how to lift your voice, how to tell your story, and how to connect other women through outreach. So some states were doing events where they were bringing women in their community or bringing the community in to understand that in this community, this is one of our issues that we are facing. This is one of the issues that we are going to address because it means something to the people who are there. And so I see that a lot more, whatever that something is. It could be, there's one sister that I work with. She works with autism and people with disabilities. This is her work. She's been on our podcast too. This is Miss B's consulting. And what she has done is taken her knowledge and taken this journey of being a mother of an autistic daughter and also working with people with disabilities. Her strong area is understanding policy and how to pull resources and how to help people to be educated in this space. I see her as one of those women in the forefront. She took the need, the information, and the lack of connectedness to the forefront, because she said, there's not anybody coming. She says this all the time. There's nobody coming to save us. We have to be the one to declare what we need, what we want, and go find it, go get it, and bring it back and share it and multiply it. That's her work. That's a woman in front for me when I look at that. We have Go ahead.
That's the original feminine.
Mm-hmm.
The original feminine was the one that went out and got the herbs and the food and the plants, and they could discern. They were, that was their role. That's what we did. The original woman looked at where are the resources? What do we need? How do we bring that back to the family? That is the role of the feminine.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And so, because you have a global view of the of the women in the front, what are you seeing around the world as you're going into your travels?
Well, we could just look at COVID and which countries had the least amount of death. And there were countries like Liberia, the countries that were uh, the presidents were women.
What do you attribute that
We
to?
um, common sense, which isn't always common. But again, where they were looking, creating the systems, knowing what it is to the patriarch is about fear-based survival. The feminine is about love, living. How to bring love into the community, not not a fear-based survival. And so that's what women have naturally. It's been suppressed. We've been suppressed to use our voices. You know, even if you were a white American, what they didn't get, women didn't get a right to vote. White women didn't get a right to vote. Was it 1920s? Like it's beyond color sometimes. You just look at the role of how women have been, and as we're coming in, just because you heard it in the 70s. No, yeah, it was the early 70s. This is the dawn of the age of Aquarius. So what's occurring is because it's it's designed this way. We are now in the age where the divine feminine will show up. That's just what's going to happen. That it's going to be proliferated, whether it's in Iran, whether it's in India, whether it's wherever it is. It's the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As the stars line up, it will manifest on this plane. So it's not personal, and it's not based on location. That's just what's going to happen for the next 2063 years. That's the whole year of what is an age. And we are in the age of Aquarius.
And thank you for sharing that and sharing some perspective, because part of, I think, I like in Detroit, there are communities and people in communities that never leave community, and they believe that the whole world is what is in their community. And to a degree that's true, but to a degree it is a part of the expansion. So when you have a global view like you do, and when you've been around the country, so you have a global view, you have a national view as well, it gives some hope for the things that you may be experiencing, but it also gives the hope that there is also more. There's more outside of the one space that you might be occupying. And I think just to encourage people to continue to grow where you are, or grow from where you are, but continue to grow, because this is an energetic time. It's not just like you mentioned, it's not just an individual, it is an energetic movement. It is happening within all of us. And I think that's an important piece to note. And so as we close, I'm going to ask if you have some closing thoughts. What do you want to see? What do you want the women to leave with today? And that is a seed. Give us a seed of wisdom to leave with today.
Well, it depends on where you are in your elevation. Um, Sometimes we have big breakdowns in life. And I look at those breakdowns two particular ways. I talk about breakdowns. People call them problems, but I call them breakdowns. Um, One is, I'm going to say God, Allah, universe, Jehovah. I don't care what you call it, ancestors. I don't care what you call it. It's it. It ain't in the name. The only name there is I am. But you wouldn't. You even that's a name. So I'm not attached to anything. But what I could say is that thing loves you so much, and it wants your attention. You know, wants your attention so badly that sometimes you will have a huge breakdown. And that breakdown will have you go, okay, this is a recurrent problem. I've been trying to get out of this forever. I surrender. So when you have these problems, the other way I say that, when you have these breakdowns in life, know that that's your teacher. It's not a situation. That's your teacher trying to get your attention. And if you could talk to that breakdown, like why? What do you want? If you talk to it the same way you would really talk to yourself, you'll get an answer. So that's one thing I would say. If you haven't yet started to elevate your consciousness, and then for the people who, I'm going to say, sometimes it's not only age, who are the council women.
Mm.
I call them Shaw Womens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not shamans, Shaw Womens.
Yes,
That's what I call them.
Yes.
I say, as you get older, I'm 10 years older than you are. I'm 72. And as you get older, you understand that song you and I learned in 3rd grade at 3 years old. She has the whole world in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're sitting in the council seat, you just hold the space as you know. This is a process. This is evolution. You begin to see by this time, you know, this isn't my first time around this thing. You know, there's so many past lives, and when you begin to see, oh, I'm the ancestor. I am the ancestor that I was ancestor. When you can begin to see that, you can see from a different perspective. And so what I say to women is what I say to women. What I say to women is different from what I say to women. What I say to us as women, it's our turn. You know, that's Diana Ross. It's our turn.
Blessings. And so I will make sure that I add to the video your email, and so that people can connect to you. And I thank you for joining us today. Ma, do you have any closing words? And if you can share with people how to reach you.
The most important thing I could tell anybody is to know thyself. That's the most important thing you could do. And that's it's a lifelong journey. You can connect with me at relationshipfirstaid@yahoo.com. On Facebook, Relationship First Aid. Website, Relationship First Aid. Website, Relationship First Aid at Yahoo. Website, relationshipfirstaid.com. And then you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram on Relationship First Aid.
And don't forget, you can get your My Aunt memo cards and your Me, Myself, and I cards too when you connect with My Aunt. You can reach me at yourinspiredjourney.com. You can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855. That's 313-759-7855. And today, I want to make sure I remind you that we have our book club coming up the 3rd Wednesday of every month. Our book club is not just about reading books. It's part of our tea Talk and Transform. It is our way of gathering together as sisters to honor one another and to have a safe space to just be. And secondly, that if you reach out today or you reach out behind this podcast, I have a self-assessment called The Whole Time. It is about the remembering. It is about the recalling. It is about the reset. So remember, recall, reset. The whole time, recognizing that you were already who you were the whole time. And it's just a matter of remembering and pulling yourself back together. And I thank you to my sister, Claudette C'Faison, for joining us today, taking women higher as part of her journey, part of how you can connect with her. Blessings to you and all that you do. And for those of you who are listening today, we want you to take it all in. Go back, review your notes, take in what resonates, and put a pin in the rest of it for later. This is Dr. Hetheru. We want you to stay clear. Thanks for joining us.